How exciting is that heading into spring when you didn't get a spring last year? And I guess what's the focus been with your group?
It's really exciting. Obviously, with the front, really kind of setting the tone, both offensively and defensively. When you have, that group of guys in terms of what they stand for from a character standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, but also just knowing the defense, it really allows you to not necessarily worry as much about the schematic piece of it, but more on the fundamentals, the details, really kind of just picking individual things to work on each day. So it's exciting bringing those guys back and now having the entire room in one, 2 years ago with Coach Lindsay leaving it, in really good hands. And then, Coach Martin getting his opportunity and what he did with those guys inside, he really just kind of made it, easy from a standpoint of what to do. And, it's my job to, just make sure that we fine tune and work on those little things. So it's been exciting. It's been good. And like where we're going.
Hey, Coach, this is Hunter Smith from WKU. How much are you kind of leaning on those older players that have been through a spring off season before?
Oh, a lot. We joke. I say all the time, you guys know this defense better than I do. And, we're in position rooms and whatnot. And I say, if I say something wrong, hey, Coach, that's not right. So, but honestly, I lean on them a lot. And I lean on them just from the experience side of things, obviously the install piece, but also more importantly from a leadership standpoint with those young guys, whether we got a new guy, Mike Pitts, first time in the defense, and he's talented, but he's got to learn what to do. And we've got some other younger guys, Jaquez Evans and, some of those younger guys, David and Dukwe, Ship, that they're just kind of pouring into. So to answer your question, a lot, and not just schematically, but also from a leadership role, and pulling those guys aside and showing them the ropes and teaching them some things that maybe they couldn't get from me in a meeting. So a lot.
Hey, Coach. Jared again with the Daily News. One of the guys on this defense that I think everybody was wondering when the season was coming to a close, whether he'd be back or not, was Deangelo, because he was so, dominant back in 2019 with the Defensive Player of the Year award and good last year for you guys as well. I guess when did you find out he was going to come back, and, what's his mindset been like, just early on this spring, and what do you think led to that decision?
Right. After the season, him and I, we had a good conversation. And I know there were some people in his corner as well, too. And at the end of the day, it's about what's best for him, starting with Coach Helton. Coach Helton came by my office. At the time, Coach White, and, of course, the other coaches are still on this staff. And it's about what's best for Deangelo, not necessarily what's best for us at Western Kentucky. But, he had a good year. And please, let me preface it with that. But also just for his goals and knowing that one piece of it was the weight. He needed to make sure that he gained the right weight on top of changing his body from a strength standpoint. So that really kind of what started the conversation at the end of last year, just knowing that he had a good year, but in the big picture for his personal goals, we knew that the NFL wanted him to show a different skill set, to show a different body type, And that kind of is what triggered all this to happen. And to be honest with you, I'm so pleased with him right now, where his mental approach is and how he's approaching it. And, in this room, we talk all the time about being a pro, and it's a way of life, both on the field and off the field. And that's been my challenge to him this entire time. He's up 15 pounds. He looks really good. He's changing the way he plays the game. More importantly, how people attacked him last year. The year before, I think he used his athletic ability to his advantage, and he still does that, but just it allowed him to do some things that people weren't quite ready for. And in this past year, they knew who he was. And so there was always a tight end in front of him, or a back chipping in protection, or the entire front sliding to him. And so just now he realizes that, no matter what they do, if I've got the weight and I've got the strength on top of my athletic ability, I can be very versatile and be very, very good. And more importantly, he can reach the goals he has in terms of being the best player he could be here, winning us a conference championship or helping us win that. And then, of course, going on to the NFL. So, with all that being said, he looks good. He's focused, gaining his weight. I like where he's at. I really do.
Coach, this is Hunter again from WBK. Helton said last Saturday, the big emphasis, you guys have a lot of the basics down. Now it's just kind of executing at a high level. Just this first practice back in the second week, how have you felt like the team has been able to do that?
It's been good. It's been good. Coach Crum has stepped in, and it's been seamless. You know, the big thing in this room, we talk about it all the time, Hunter, is practice execution equals game reality. And so everything that we do, from it gets graded, it gets filmed, we emphasize it, we have unit meetings. And so Coach Ellen's exactly right, him being a leader of this program, and we've just, it's trickled down from both sides of the ball, and specifically each position group. So that's really it. It's just practicing at a standard, learning the strain on a more consistent basis, and just really everything is being evaluated, everything's detailed, and I like where we're going with that. So his message has been fully accepted, and we push it, we challenge it, and we work towards it every day.
You know, Ricky Barber seemed like he really came on strong, especially towards the end of last season. He was named to the freshman All-American team, and it seems like he's just a kid that's like really ate up with it. He's excited about just getting better and, you know, continuing to improve, you know, from the time that we've talked to him. I guess, what do you see as the next steps in his progression?
Yeah, man, Ricky's a football player. I love it. He's ate up with the game. I mean, we can't have a lunch break or take an hour for yourself, because he's always up here. Hey, coach, can we watch this? Can we watch that? So he, even back when Coach Martin was here, he was always up here and interrupting our defensive staff meetings to come in and watch tape and see what people are doing and how they're going to block him and whatnot. So, you know, for Ricky, the next step is continuing to build off of what he did last year. But like everything, it's the detail piece, and it's understanding how people are going to attack him now. You know, how are you handling double teams? How are you handling combo blocks? And then how can we just work the details, the fine pieces? It's the hand placement, it's the footwork, it's the, you know, it's what we call power position, but football position, where I'm square to the line of scrimmage and continuing to work the pass rush piece. So, you know, I like where Ricky's at. He's ate up with it. He's all about football. He's all about his development. So we just going to keep attacking, you know, those things that he's got to work on, and different ways people are going to block him and how we can combat that. So, but no, Ricky's a really good player. He's really good. He's gained weight. And I know early on he was, you know, coach, I'm not used to being this heavy. And for us, as we break it down, you know, this phase in this off season before spring ball was about getting as big as I can, as strong as I can, knowing that through spring and of course, and through summer conditioning, when we really work to get him in shape, they're going to lose the weight. So he's battled a couple, you know, these last couple of weeks with carrying that 295, 300, where he played at about 280 last year. And so he's starting to be able to handle it. And now he's starting to flash. And I thought these last two practices for him, he's what we thought he is and what we know him to be. So, but he's doing good. It's just that next step. It's, you know, can never get satisfied.
Coach, you know, with guys like Ricky and Deangelo, those real workhorses in, you know, how do they just kind of affect a position group, and how is that just contagious?
You know, the big thing is the production. It doesn't lie. You know, we watch tape, we watch game tape, we watch practice tape, and those guys that flash, you tend to take note of those guys. And as a young player, or as a backup, or somebody in this position room, you know, it's about production. And once you see what they do, you know, and how the plays they make, then you go about, okay, what do they do to get to those plays? Then you watch a guy like Deangelo, the way he practices, the way he chases the football. He does that in practice. Yeah, he's probably one of the best practice players I've ever been around. You know, Ricky Barber, the way he how physical he is, his hand placement, he practices that way. He works on those things. So, number one, they're talented, they're productive. But the thing that I really focus on with the group is how they go about getting that production. You know, here's the goal, here's the end product. Now, what are the steps we're going to put in place to go get those things? And those guys live by it. They're pros in their approach. And so it's been great for the room, because everybody wants production. Everybody wants an opportunity to go to the next level. And those guys have it, as well as some of the other guys in our room. But those guys can experience it firsthand. Like, okay, if I do this, I'm in this same system. We have similar skill sets. Coach is teaching me the same thing. He's demanding the same thing. Maybe I can get those similar results. And so it's been really good for the room. Just two talented players that go about working. They go about all the other stuff as well, too, from a business side of things, the weight room, the nutrition, the decision-making, the people they surround themselves with. No, they're both great examples of the total body of work and what it means to be a pro. So I like where they're going, and it's been good for the room.
Anything else?
Yeah, I've got one more. Kind of speaking at the room as a whole, with those 4 starters back, with Dangelo, Juwan, Ricky, and Jeremy, it seems like they would be, I guess, expected to be the starters this year. But, talking to Tyson, no position is, set right now. There's a lot of competition. You mentioned Michael Pitts, you mentioned David kind of coming in. We never know who else you might sign at this point in the year with some open spots left. But I guess in terms of the level of competition and fighting for those spots, I guess, what have you seen so far?
Oh, it's high, and challenged them, and everything gets graded. I constantly move the rotation just for the fact that you're not going to get comfortable. And we do have talent in this room. We really do. We got some guys that are coming along. So we just stress, the importance of the competition and not being complacent. And everything that I do, we mix it up. And I learned a long time ago, as a young coach and even as a player, you're only as good as your depth, and you're only as good as your 2s and your 3s. So it's a constant battle to raise the next level while continuing to get those other guys where they need to be at. So it's always evolving, it's always changing, and anything we can do from warm-ups to one-on-ones to the team periods, it's getting graded, it's competition, and just making sure those guys understand that Coach is exactly right. There is no starters, and every single day I change the rotation, including Ricky, including Deangelo. They all get mixed, and I like the way it's going, and those guys know that, it could be me that day. Whenever my time's called, I'm rolling with the ones. What are you going to do with that opportunity? So I like the depth. I think we're talented. And as long as we keep developing, I think we got a chance to be pretty dominant up front. Is a total unit. So